Very nice weekend and in style. Karibu sana. This is Morning Cafe and it's a feel good Friday. This Friday is not here around, but I mean, when you get to listen to some of this music, you just understand that somewhere he is represented. The reason why we do not have him is because we won't be having this session for quite a long time. Later on, we stream live the graduation ceremony of Mount Kenya University. That is later, from around 8:30 there. But then again, the show has to continue. And so on Morning Cafe today, we'll be hosting, two people who have different forms of art that are very interesting. Speak of makeup, speak of art, just how you draw and bring out the best of what it is that you are, having in mind. That is the aspect of creativity. And art is life, art is expensive, art is good, art is worth. And so we'll be speaking to these ones that are artists later on. But as of now, briefly, just to enlighten you on what the papers detail this morning, but not before I tell you that my name is Linda Alela. Yes, and yes, the broadcast is Morning Cafe. And so it's the Daily Nation, the People Daily, as well as the Standard newspaper. We're just taking it light and not delving deep into the details of what the papers detail, but it's also important that even as we sing along to these reggae tunes, we also get to know what is happening. Of course, the Cherera 4 and the tribunal is on as it is. Masit decides that, well, we are not going to say goodbye just yet. We have to fight up until the last beat, the proverbial one man standing or one woman standing, depending on how you look at it. And therefore today, she faces the tribunal and will be following up to see just how this pans out or turns out. An interesting time, especially in the face of independent bodies, now IBC being one of them, and most importantly on the question of democracy right here in the country. And so we'll be following up to see. This is what has been captured on the front page of the People Daily. They say the Cherera 4 cases kick off, and yes, headache for tribunal as Ruto allies in dilemma over how to proceed. That is with the probe if all 4 IBC bosses step down as Muchelule team meets to set ground rules. And of course, they did not all step down as it is, Cherera says that she stays and she is not about to bow down. So we'll be looking at that interesting story, just following up to understand some more on what really would play out. And of course, we'll be here to make sure that you get updates on the same. We do not expect for any form of about turn on this very bits, of course, set to appear before tribunal in quest to clear her name. Also filed a court case, that is Masit. And we saw just Wanderi on the other side yesterday morning decided that, well, enough is enough. He would then resign, of course, following the precedence that was set by Nyang'aya, who resigned first, as well as Cherera, who appears to be the person who's been leading the gang and also the vice chair, deputizing Wafula Chebukati. And away from it, of course, paints a picture of how terrible things are in the country. The People Daily speaks of how times are tough and that most of the Kenyans are, experiencing tough times. That is in terms of, just getting to even forward the basic commodities, and half of Kenya households hungry. This is according to a World Bank report. It's quite unfortunate to note this at this very point. But then again, we have to soldier on and, of course, just get to understand how best we can be able to handle this. And we will definitely be looking to see just how then the government continues to address this. Remember, we also, as TV47, have joined in, the rest of the country to make sure that we can share with those ones that we can share with those ones that are going through tough times, the ASOL counties. And we traveled to Kajiado, shared the little that we could, and the numbers to share as well for you are always running on our television station, just so you can contribute the little that you have, and then we amass this and proceed to share with these ones that are going through tough times, in as much as, well, they say this is being experienced across the country. Those are the key stories that we see this morning on the People Daily. And the World Bank is bittersweet pill for Kenya. they have to speak of it, or that is what it is that they say. And the lender has proposed a bag full of sensitive reforms, that is to spur Kenya's economy recovery, and of course handing President William Ruto's regime some tough choices, that is as to fueling growth while safeguarding investor confidence, and as well appeasing a restless population scorched by the high cost of living and of course the difficult times. Reduce spectrum fees for mobile towers, that is what they say, or recommend remove VAT on broadband, as well amend NSSF Act to increase monthly contributions, that is strict regulation of NSSF administrative costs, as well procure up to about 50 new large-scale farm concessions of 2,500 acres or more, and also create platform for informal sector pensions and end market dominance in telecoms mobile money, as well increase safety net funding for Inua Jamii and others, and of course audit register of beneficiaries of safety net programs. And definitely we all understand that there's always this advice that it would be wise for any African country, or generally any country, to be in good books with the World Bank, with IMF, just so they would be able to stay afloat, because then of the aspect of building that credit capability. Just how well will the country adjust to this is a question of wait and see. This, as Right Honorable Raila Odinga then is on the front page as well, page 5 of the Daily Nation, and they say why Raila called off his parallel Jamhuri rally, and it will be interesting to watch. Remember, he had said that they will be holding a parallel Jamhuri rally alongside that one that will be held by the head of state. And so on Wednesday, called from the African Union promoted Azimio la Umoja, or prompted him, that is of course to say that he will not proceed to hold this parallel rally. Remember, he's still an envoy of course the African Union as to the question of infrastructure, and therefore sometimes it would be good to dance to some of the tunes that are presented to them or to him. And so we just get to see whether then beyond that he continues with the conversation of the Kamkunji sessions, where they speak to the matters and of course addressing those that have not been well addressed according to them by the president. And school heads also await longer for transfers back to home counties. Remember, we've been talking about the localization and the reverse of the same. They have celebrated this moment, saying that then at least they will be able to stay with their families. Many said that this in a huge way was breaking the family unit, because most of them had to travel so far to work there and would come back on home, that is on very few occasions, which of course is not what then the family unit would ask for. So this reverse, perhaps indeed a great policy, or a great adjustment, and a plus to many of them who are now excited to go back home. But as it is, it will take a little more time. And well, as to the question of probe audit projects in Uhuru's last term, this is according to members of parliament, and the National Assembly has called, that is for the investigation into 4.2 trillion projects undertaken during the President Kenyatta's term, and of course to confirm whether the right steps were followed, or the right steps were followed, that is in the implementation of this, as well captured on the back page of the Daily Nation. Those are the key stories. Kusi Ideas Festivals and opens with call for more climate and of course adjustments, as to also the question of finding, and we can see the Environment Cabinet Secretary Soipan Tuya also with Global Center on Adoption CEO, that is Patrick Vaku, as of course they have this session, and looking forward to what then would come out of that. As well, the Standard newspaper, why women are angrier today than 10 years ago. This is an interesting report captured by the Standard newspaper as to just how there's a lot of animosity going on, and I know not so much of stability for the women, especially the home setup. There is this research that was done, and it was indicating that the homes are no longer a safe space for the girl child. Just what does this report speak to? Definitely one that is worth a read. You can always grab your copy and get to see this. Even as rebels killed about 131 civilians in DR Congo, this as conversations of the question of peace are on and spearheaded by President Uhuru Kenyatta. But just how will they manage to make sure that then peace is something that is felt in totality, that this kind of animosity is a game of the past? Certainly what we are waiting to see. Why Raila called off Jamhuri rally? Of course, is faced with a reluctant public battling high cost of living and also an opposition reading from different scripts and pressure from the international community. Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Odinga is forced then to cancel a protest rally planned to coincide with the December 12th National Day celebrations. This is captured on page 6, and definitely we'll be following up keenly to see what this story then brings to the fore. This even as talks and at the level of the National Assembly are on as to whether then there should be a formation of a formidable office of the opposition leader, an opposition office that will generally be, very instrumental in keeping the government check. Mending fences in Western Kenya. Well, we can see the faces of the likes of Kotu Secretary General, that is Francis Atwoli, and that acknowledgement, that about turn. We all remember that he's been a staunch supporter of the Right Honorable, and certainly having accepted that loss and as well embracing President William Ruto as the president's country, and perhaps just trying to send some goodies back to Western Kenya. We see all the key leaders there. That is Musalia Mudavadi, Ababu Namwamba, but just how instrumental will this be in terms of making sure that, well, the government works well with the Western region, but most importantly, they also get to find that one face that will be representing them. Those are the key stories on the papers this morning. Let me not bore you with so much. Being a Friday, I think it's all about music. But before I even get to that aspect of music, just a reminder that as always, every Friday we have a cake for you, courtesy of the Valentine's Cake House. And so I'm looking forward to see your messages. Tell me why I should give you this cake so that you can get to celebrate with loved ones. And it expires on the 31st of December. So that means even on Christmas Day, you can get to enjoy this with loved one. And they are open and in different parts of the country, very many branches. So if I give you this voucher, you can always make sure that you go and redeem it and get that cake of your choice. Enjoy it with family, with friends, or surprise someone. It's their birthday, it's their graduation time, like those ones that are graduating at the Mount Kenya University today.